In the year 1066, a single battle changed the fate of England forever. A man from Normandy, with a claim to a distant throne, crossed the sea with an army at his back. But who was this warrior, bold enough to challenge a kingdom? What drove him to risk everything on the battlefield? As the clash of swords echoed across Hastings, the course of history was rewritten. The name William the Conqueror would soon be known to all, but the path he took to power was anything but certain. What led him to seize the crown? William the Conqueror, 1028 to 1087. William the Conqueror, also known as William I of England, is a towering figure in medieval history. Born in 1028 in Falaise, Normandy, he was the illegitimate son of Robert I, Duke of Normandy, and Herleva, a woman of lower social standing. Despite the challenges posed by his birth, William's life was defined by ambition, resilience, and a remarkable ability to shape his destiny. His impact on England and Europe is still felt today, as he laid the foundations for a new era in the history of the British Isles. Early life and rise to power. William's early years were marked by uncertainty and danger. As the illegitimate son of Duke Robert, he faced prejudice and hostility from those who doubted his right to rule. His father, however, recognized him as his heir, and when Duke Robert died in 1035, William, just 7 years old, became the Duke of Normandy. His youth and illegitimacy made his position precarious, and the early years of his rule were filled with challenges from rebellious nobles who sought to undermine him. Despite the odds, William displayed a remarkable ability to survive and thrive in a hostile environment. With the help of loyal supporters, he managed to consolidate his power, crushing rebellions and gradually securing his position as the rightful Duke of Normandy. By the time he reached adulthood, William had established himself as a strong and capable leader, ready to expand his influence beyond the borders of Normandy. Marriage and alliances. In 1053, William married Matilda of Flanders, a union that significantly strengthened his position. Matilda was the daughter of Baldwin V, Count of Flanders, one of the most powerful rulers in Northern Europe. This marriage alliance not only bolstered William's standing among the nobility but also provided him with valuable political and military support. Matilda herself was a capable and influential figure, playing a crucial role in William's rule and later in his reign as King of England. The marriage produced several children, including Robert, who would become Duke of Normandy, and William II, who succeeded his father as King of England. Matilda's support was instrumental in William's ambitious plans, and their partnership was one of mutual respect and shared goals. The claim to the English throne. William's ambition extended beyond Normandy. His sights were set on the English throne, a prize that would require both cunning and force to obtain. The situation in England was complex, with several contenders vying for the crown. Edward the Confessor, the childless King of England, was nearing the end of his life, and the question of succession loomed large. William claimed that Edward had promised him the throne during a visit to Normandy in the early 1050s. Additionally, he argued that Harold Godwin's son, one of England's most powerful nobles, had sworn an oath to support William's claim to the throne. However, upon Edward's death in January 1066, the English Witan, a council of nobles, chose Harold as the new king, sparking a conflict that would change the course of English history. The Norman invasion. William was not a man to be easily deterred. Determined to assert his claim to the English throne, he began preparations for an invasion of England. The Norman invasion of 1066 was a monumental undertaking, requiring meticulous planning and coordination. William assembled a formidable army, consisting of soldiers from Normandy and other parts of Europe, including mercenaries from as far afield as Italy and Spain. He also secured the backing of Pope Alexander II, who provided him with a papal banner, symbolizing divine approval for the invasion. The crossing of the English Channel was fraught with risk, but William's leadership and planning ensured that his forces landed safely on the shores of England in September 1066. Harold, who had just repelled a Viking invasion in the north, was forced to march his army south to meet this new threat. The two forces finally clashed at the Battle of Hastings on October 14, 1066. The Battle of Hastings. The Battle of Hastings was a decisive moment in English history. William's forces were outnumbered, but his leadership and the discipline of his troops proved to be crucial. The battle was fiercely contested, with both sides suffering heavy casualties. Harold's forces, weary from their march and recent battles, struggled to hold their ground against the Norman onslaught. One of the turning points of the battle was the death of Harold Godwin's son, who was reportedly struck in the eye by an arrow. With their king dead, the English forces began to crumble, and William's troops pressed their advantage. By the end of the day, William had achieved a resounding victory, and the English resistance was broken. Consolidating power. With the English throne now within his grasp, William moved swiftly to consolidate his power. He faced considerable resistance from the English nobility and population, who were not willing to accept a foreign ruler without a fight. William's response was both ruthless and effective. He systematically crushed any opposition, using a combination of military force, strategic marriages, and the distribution of land to his loyal Norman followers. One of William's most significant actions during this period was the construction of a series of castles across England. These fortifications served as both military strongholds and symbols of Norman authority. The most famous of these is the Tower of London, which became a powerful symbol of William's rule. To secure his control over the land, William introduced the feudal system to England. This system allowed him to reward his followers with land in exchange for their loyalty and military service. It also ensured that the English nobility, who had previously held significant power, were brought under Norman control. William's distribution of land to his Norman barons created a new ruling class, fundamentally altering the social and political landscape of England. The Domesday Book. One of William's most enduring legacies is the Domesday Book, a comprehensive survey of England's lands and resources. Completed in 1086, the Domesday Book was an unprecedented administrative achievement. It provided William with detailed information about the wealth and assets of his kingdom, allowing him to effectively tax his subjects and manage his realm. The Domesday Book is also a valuable historical document, offering insights into the economy, society, and geography of 11th century England. It records the ownership of land, the value of estates, and the obligations of tenants, providing a detailed snapshot of the country at that time. The meticulous nature of the survey reflects William's desire to exert control over every aspect of his kingdom, ensuring that he could maintain his authority and secure his rule. The Harrying of the North. William's reign was not without its darker moments. One of the most notorious episodes was the Harrying of the North, a brutal campaign conducted in 1069 to 1070 to suppress a rebellion in northern England. The north of England had long been a region resistant to Norman rule, and William's response to the uprising was ruthless. William's forces laid waste to vast areas of the north, burning villages, destroying crops, and slaughtering livestock. The campaign caused widespread famine and suffering, with countless people displaced or killed. The Harrying of the North was intended to break the spirit of resistance in the region, and it succeeded, but at a terrible human cost. This episode remains one of the most controversial aspects of William's reign. While it secured his control over the north of England, it also left a legacy of bitterness and resentment that would persist for generations. The scale of the destruction was unprecedented, and it highlighted the lengths to which William was willing to go to maintain his power. Reign as King of England. As King of England, William's rule was characterized by both consolidation and transformation. He sought to blend Norman and Anglo-Saxon cultures, creating a new, unified kingdom under his control. This process was not always smooth, and tensions between the Normans and the native English population were a constant feature of his reign. William's introduction of the feudal system was a key aspect of this transformation. Under this system, the king owned all the land in the kingdom, and it was granted to his vassals in exchange for their loyalty and military service. This system helped to establish a strong central authority and ensured that the Norman barons remained loyal to William. However, it also led to the displacement of many Anglo-Saxon landowners, further deepening the divide between the conquerors and the conquered. William also reformed the English Church, bringing it more in line with Norman practices and increasing its ties to Rome. He replaced many of the Anglo-Saxon bishops with Norman clergy, who were more loyal to him and more aligned with the reforms being implemented across Europe. These changes had a lasting impact on the English Church, helping to shape its development in the centuries that followed. Legacy and death. William the Conqueror's legacy is one of profound transformation. He not only secured the English throne but also laid the foundations for a new social and political order. His reign marked the beginning of a new era in English history, one characterized by the blending of cultures, the establishment of a strong monarchy, and the creation of institutions that would endure for centuries. William's impact on the English language and legal system is still evident today. The Norman conquest introduced a vast number of French words into the English language, many of which remain in use. The legal and administrative reforms he implemented helped to shape the development of English common law, which remains a cornerstone of the legal system. In addition to his political and cultural legacy, William is remembered as a formidable military leader. His victory at the Battle of Hastings is one of the most famous events in British history, and it remains a symbol of his strategic brilliance and determination. William's ability to navigate the complex political landscape of 11th century Europe, while also maintaining control over his diverse and often unruly subjects, is a testament to his skill as a ruler. William's death in 1087 was marked by a mixture of success and turmoil. He died in Normandy after a fall from his horse during a military campaign. His deathbed was reportedly marked by a reflection on the bloodshed and suffering he had caused. But there is little evidence to suggest that he sought forgiveness for his actions. His body was buried in the Abbey of Saint Etienne in Caen, which he had founded. But even in death, his legacy was contentious. His tomb was disturbed several times in the centuries that followed, reflecting the ongoing tensions surrounding his rule. William's sons inherited a divided realm. His eldest son, Robert, received Normandy, while his second son, William Rufus, became King of England. This division led to conflicts between the brothers, and the subsequent history of England and Normandy was marked by a struggle for control that would continue for generations. William's personal characteristics and leadership style. William the Conqueror was a man of complex character, shaped by the harsh realities of the world in which he lived. His illegitimate birth and early experiences of violence and betrayal forged a personality that was both determined and ruthless. He was known for his fierce temper, but also for his strategic mind and ability to inspire loyalty among his followers. William's leadership style was marked by a combination of pragmatism and ambition. He was willing to use any means necessary to achieve his goals, whether through marriage alliances, military force, or political manipulation. His ability to navigate the treacherous waters of medieval politics was a key factor in his success. Despite his reputation for brutality, William also had a deep sense of duty and responsibility as a ruler. He was determined to create a stable and prosperous realm, and many of his actions were aimed at securing the long-term future of his dynasty. His construction of castles and fortifications, his introduction of the feudal system, and his reforms of the church all reflect a ruler who was focused on the stability and security of his kingdom. The impact of the Norman conquest on England. The Norman conquest had a profound impact on every aspect of English society. The introduction of the feudal system fundamentally altered the social structure, with land ownership concentrated in the hands of a small number of Norman lords. This shift in power dynamics led to the displacement of many Anglo-Saxon nobles and the creation of a new ruling class. The cultural impact of the conquest was equally significant. The Normans brought with them new architectural styles, as seen in the construction of cathedrals, castles, and churches. They also introduced new customs, legal practices, and forms of governance. The blending of Norman and Anglo-Saxon cultures created a unique identity that would continue to evolve over the centuries. The linguistic impact of the conquest was perhaps the most enduring. The Normans spoke Old French, and their influence on the English language was profound. Many of the words and phrases introduced by the Normans are still in use today, particularly in the realms of law, governance, and the military. The English language became a rich tapestry of Anglo-Saxon and Norman influences, reflecting the complex history of the period.
William's relationship with the Church. William's relationship with the Church was complex and multifaceted. He was a devout Christian, but he was also determined to maintain control over the Church within his realm. William sought to reform the English Church, bringing it more in line with the practices of the Continental Church and increasing its ties to Rome. One of the key aspects of William's church reforms was the replacement of Anglo-Saxon bishops with Norman clergy. This move was partly motivated by a desire to bring the English Church under closer control, but it also reflected the broader trend of church reform across Europe. The new Norman bishops were more aligned with the Gregorian reforms being implemented by the papacy, which aimed to increase the Church's independence and moral authority. Despite his support for church reform, William was careful to maintain his authority over the Church within his kingdom. He insisted on his right to appoint bishops and abbots, and he resisted any attempts by the papacy to interfere in the governance of his realm. This balance between supporting reform and maintaining control was a hallmark of William's approach to ruling England. William's legacy in Normandy. While William is best known for his conquest of England, his legacy in Normandy is equally significant. As Duke of Normandy, William was responsible for transforming the duchy into one of the most powerful and prosperous regions in Europe. His rule in Normandy was marked by a focus on economic development, military strength, and the consolidation of his authority. William's construction of castles and fortifications in Normandy was a key aspect of his strategy for maintaining control. These strongholds served as centers of power and administration, allowing William to project his authority across the duchy. He also encouraged the development of towns and trade, fostering economic growth and prosperity. In Normandy, as in England, William's rule was characterized by a combination of pragmatism and ambition. He was determined to secure the future of his dynasty, and his efforts laid the foundations for the continued strength and influence of the Norman rulers in the centuries that followed. The succession crisis and the division of William's empire. William's death in 1087 led to a succession crisis that would have lasting implications for both England and Normandy. William had 3 surviving sons: Robert, William Rufus, and Henry. His decision to divide his territories among his sons created tensions and rivalries that would shape the future of the Anglo-Norman realm. Robert, the eldest son, inherited the Duchy of Normandy. William Rufus, the second son, was given the Kingdom of England. Henry, the youngest son, received a substantial sum of money but no land, leading to his later ambitions to acquire both Normandy and England. The division of William's empire led to conflicts between the brothers. Robert and William Rufus were frequently at odds, and their rivalry created instability in both England and Normandy. Henry, who eventually became King Henry I of England, played a key role in the eventual reunification of the Anglo-Norman realm, but the conflicts between the brothers left a lasting legacy of tension and division. The enduring influence of William the Conqueror. William the Conqueror's influence extends far beyond his own lifetime. His impact on the English language, legal system, and social structure has left an indelible mark on the history of the British Isles. The Norman conquest was a turning point that shaped the development of England and its institutions for centuries to come. William's legacy is also reflected in the architectural and cultural heritage of England and Normandy. The castles, cathedrals, and churches he built are lasting symbols of his rule, and they continue to be important landmarks and centers of cultural life. In many ways, William the Conqueror's reign represents the beginning of a new era in European history. His ability to navigate the complex political landscape of the 11th century, his strategic brilliance, and his determination to achieve his goals make him one of the most remarkable figures of the medieval period. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the life of William the Conqueror and the lasting impact of the Norman conquest, please don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with others who might find it interesting. Your support helps us continue bringing you more historical content. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.